Are you really on track with your savings? Or are you falling behind without even knowing it, my friend? Most people get this completely wrong by the age of 30. Now, of course, I understand that there's many issues, especially with youngsters being able to buy a house. I know I'm currently experiencing this problem myself. It is extremely difficult, I feel you. However, this does not mean we should not have a plan and take back control of our money and manage it in an effective way to not only be able to save more, but to be able to make it grow. By the way, really quick, I have launched a brand new community and I am actually looking for my first 10 members to join it. So I'm able to get feedback from them and they can help me to shape it so I can make it as best product as possible for you. It is literally only $1 to join and it comes with a course that's normally valued at $157 and that has taken me over 30 plus hours to create at no extra cost to you. So you're really able to take advantage of what I've made, my friend. Plus there's a 7-day money back guarantee, my friend. So I've literally made it so there's absolutely no way you can lose in this situation. I'll refund you your $1 if you do not like it, all right? If you're even a slightly bit curious, my friend, the link's below and I'd love for you guys to come and check it out. Thank you. Now let's continue on with the video. Please subscribe and share.
How much money you should technically have in your savings account by age. Now the average British adult has around £17,773 in savings. Now this is all going to depend on your situation.
That relates to one of the stats that I've actually used in my course, and that is actually quite impressive that the average savings is 17,773. The only thing that annoys me about this stat so much to the point I just can't comprehend is the fact that that is so much more money than I feel the average person, in my opinion, that I feel the average person would need in terms of saving. Bro, you only need an emergency fund of like 3 to 6 months of your living expenses. The average living expenses are going to be, including with a mortgage or rent, for the average person, they're probably going to be around about, let's say, £2,000, even if you have like a direct debit of like £1,000, right? And I would say that's pretty harshly said, right? It should be lower than that, but let's call it around that, right? That's around about £2,000 a month. 6 months of living expenses of that, right? 3 to 6 months of living expenses of that is going to be averaged around about £6,000 to £12,000. So therefore, any money after that point, in my opinion, this is not something, because I'm never going to recommend anything to you, but you should really think about doing more with that money after you've achieved your emergency fund, my friend, because your money's just being eaten out by inflation. Came out wrong, my apologies. Your money's just being absolutely destroyed by inflation, all right? So yeah, my friend, I mean, it is something that you really need to consider because your purchasing power of your money every single year that you leave your money in a savings account, it's not overcoming inflation. Therefore, you actually have less money every single year and your money that's staying in your savings account can buy you less every single year. And now that you know this, like, why would you want it? It just doesn't make sense. I understand people are fearful. I do have a video that you can check. It is attached to the same link down below. You should really check it out because you need to question yourself and ask yourself, because this is what I did for myself to be able to shift my mindset into understanding that actually I am on the losing side. If I keep going down this path, I will be on the losing side. This is just my opinion.
But generally speaking, the younger you are, the less you need and the less you have saved up. And you're probably on a lower salary. So if you're under
True.
25, the average savings were just over £2,500.
True.
People aged between 25 and 34 had £4,775 saved up. 35 to 44 was £6,751, and 45 to 54 was just over £14,500.
I think this guy's awesome. Literally all the way up to the age of 45, 54, right? That amount saved actually makes sense because as you grow older, you're going to probably have more expenses, like aka a mortgage, aka rent. You don't want to be going down the lifestyle inflation, the idiom of keeping up with the Joneses, right? You don't want to be increasing your expenses as your income grows. You don't want that because there's no need for that, right? But what this guy's saying is very good. My problem is this next one here that you're going to see.
And finally, people over 55, the average savings were £35,607.
Now, my friend, £35,607. Bro, I understand, like, obviously, I understand people are 55. I understand that they probably may have gotten money from their pension, maybe even from a retirement account. Maybe they've put it towards their savings or something like that. I get that that could be the case. But for some reason, I have a feeling it's not in this case. £35,607, that is an astronomical amount saved up. And let's say you needed, like we said, £14,500, right? Like before, the one that I think is absolutely fine, it's reasonable. That is an extra £20,000 additional that you have saved, right? Let's say you live for another 20 years, right? And let's say you have that additional £20,000. Let me just show you, my friends, you're going to see on the screen right now. Let me just show you obviously I'm not saying that this is going to happen, it's just following historical returns, but let me just show you, if you were to do something more with this money, like just simply invest in a low-cost index fund, right? I understand not many people know how to do this, but I think it's something they should consider understanding and learning, right? This is something that I always want to help people in and guide them through it. I'm not a financial advisor or investment advisor or anything like that. By all means, seek professional financial advice, but you need to be aware of this. So let me show you what I mean. Let's say that instead of continuing your savings from £14,500 roughly from the ages of 45 to 54, which I think is, by the way, more than enough, in my opinion, right? I'm not 45 to 54, so I could be wrong at that point. But in this case, genuinely, I don't think I am. Sorry, it's in dollars. It's actually £20,000 because the website's only in dollars. But my friends, if you didn't touch this money at all and you got a real return, right? A real rate of return at 8%, meaning it's after adjusting for inflation. Because let's say you went into like a low cost index fund, right? Like Vanguard or S&P or NASDAQ, you know, stuff like this. Obviously the fees are different for each of them, right? But the whole point is that if you went with funds that show historical rates of returns on approximately between 10 and 14%, in this case, let's say approximately 11%, right? After adjusted for inflation, which is around about 3% on average in the UK, if you remove that, just to keep numbers simple, that it causes a real return of 8%. So the whole point of this, my friends, is that if you just left your money, instead of putting it in savings, and you put the £20,000, or in this case, $26,000, if you saved it, you would have, let's talk about dollars for the time being, you can convert it if you want, just to keep things simple, but you would have $26,095. If anything, you'd have less. The purchasing power of it will decrease because your money is actually going to be devalued, whilst it's staying in a savings account because it's actually losing purchasing power because it's losing to inflation, right? That's just the case. That is just facts. But if you had it in a low-cost fund, right, that generates 8% real return and that's outpacing inflation, you are literally looking at approximately 120K. I'm not saying this is 100% going to happen, but the whole point is, my friend, is that this is the way, in my opinion, that you should shift your mindset. And you can shift your mindset to start thinking, because you are literally missing out on a potential 5 to 6x of your money by literally not doing something that's actually very simple once you get your head around it and once you can remove your fear of investing and actually understand what it truly is. Again, I'm not recommending anything to you, but I'm just showing you factually what historical returns would dictate the returns of this potential investment to be. So my friend, I like this guy. It's actually good that people seem to have quite a bit in savings. But my problem is the fact that most people genuinely don't even need that much in savings. Like, even worst case scenario, let's say your mortgage is £1,500 and let's say that you have £1,000 of living expenses, right? That's £2,500. I mean, the worst case scenario, if you multiply that by 6, that would be approximately like 15K. Like absolute max, right? £15,000, absolute max. And I would say that's an incredibly decent emergency fund. It covers literally 99.9% of the things, right? It covers for most of the things. And that's the whole point of you want, because you want the emergency fund for peace of mind. That's the whole point, right? But my friends, anything over that amount, you need to consider doing something different, whether that's going into cryptocurrency, whether that's investing, or even if it's just building up your cash reserves. But let's say you're building up your cash reserves, my friend, and let's say you have £35,000 in your savings, but your emergency fund is actually allocated £15,000 of that. And the rest, the remainder £20,000 of that you've saved up for an economic recession, or to be able to invest elsewhere like cryptocurrency or somewhere else, right? That makes sense. That is actually, in my opinion, extremely responsible and a good strategy, because it just makes sense. But leaving it just to sit there and be destroyed by inflation in your savings account, to me, just doesn't make sense. Again, I'm not recommending anything, but it just, to me, my friends, it's just, I can't possibly like just get it around my thick skull, right? I could just be being naive. It could just be me. I could just be an absolute, I'm not going to say the word fill in the blank, but I hope you get what I'm saying, my friend. It's more that I just really want to be able to help you do more with your money and to be able to grow your money. The number one finite thing we have is genuinely time. And the younger you are, the more compound interest you have in you. You're genuinely your own investment. You're your own best asset. And you could be your own worst enemy as well. It just depends how you look at it as such and how educated you are on being able to do the things that get you to where you want to go. But that's all I have for you, my friends, for now. But wait, because if you want to be femdom proof and you don't want to be harassed by women, you should check out this video right here, my friend. And on the other hand, if you want to see why I think this cryptic skeptic is wrong, you should check out this video, my friend, round about here. Right, my friends, go and check it out.